Yeah.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Back again to talk about post-Thanksgiving woes.
Damn, dude, we're wearing the same outfits.
Same. I'm wearing your outfit. You're wearing my outfit.
Yeah, we just swapped.
Outfit swap. Anyway, all right. So every year during the holiday season, everybody feels and realizes one thing, whether they know it or not, whether or not their house is too small and it's time to upsize. Which, by the way, it is. In case you're wondering,
It's always time.
the question that I'm wondering is like, who bought a house in 2014, 2012 that isn't thinking about it, that hasn't like renewed?
So many people are thinking about it.
Bro, it's like the opportunity is ripe. And when you have these holiday seasons, you're like welcoming people over. Even if you're not welcoming people over, for these Grinch people that are going to like, whoa, our YouTube be like, I don't like to host Thanksgiving. Yeah, you go to somebody else's house, right? You spend time with people and you just realize like, a little tight in here.
Yeah.
A little cozy.
Yeah.
Right? And then you want to yearn for something more. Forget seasonal depression and everything. That doesn't matter.
I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know if the word's denial, but like, I don't need to upsize, or like, but people have the idea and they've always been thinking about it. But then when they, chat with people or when they get contacted by a real estate agent, like, nah.
Yeah. I feel like it's tough to recognize the feeling of like the tightness.
Yeah.
When you've slowly built it over your whole life.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to lose some significant weight in the last 6 months. And I would just like look at myself in the mirror and be like, wow. Not like in a wow, oh my God, you look so good, but like it happened so quickly that it was like immediately recognizable for me.
Yeah.
Whereas when it goes the other way around, it takes 6 or 8 or 10 years to gain 12 pounds. You don't realize it, but when you lose 12 pounds in 6 months, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing. You spend your entire life accruing oddities and stupidity, like fucking snow globes from Disney World and, a rock from your trip at fucking...
A rock.
It's
a boulder.
A boulder, right? Or, a moon rock, or fucking, you have the stupid second place trophy from the go-karting thing on your dresser.
Yeah, how do you know that?
Because it's been there for 6 months.
I should have had first. John, I know if you're watching this, I should have fucking won. He spun me out in the last turn on the flap one.
What?
Illegal move.
What do tigers dream of? No, what do state troopers do on their normal day of work? They sit on the side of the road and they watch podcasts.
They watch Netflix, dude.
There you go. He's paying attention. But anyway, so I feel like it's just this, like, we don't really pay attention until one day we just see it. And it's like,
I feel like this has been a recurring topic on the podcast recently. It's like,
it's always a recurring topic.
You don't think about it until you really need it, instead of taking the steps to like get there.
Well, I think that's
like, it's from like 0 to 100 real fucking quick, instead of like 0 to 25 to 50 to 75. Okay.
Whatever happened to like 0 to 60? But 0 to 100. You're right.
I got it in 3.1. So.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go about the Tesla. Tesla. Christian's also investing in X and Y, in case you guys don't know.
Haha.
It's just like the next thing. Get it?
That was stupid. Not a huge fan of that.
All right. Anyway.
It didn't land.
So, the thing is that people often like fail to acknowledge that having the right environment can also change the outcome. But the other piece that people fail to see is they fail to acknowledge that like, just the continuous striving for greatness, the continuous striving for improvement. If you were to buy a property, let's just say today, for $190,000 or $220,000, and you keep it for 30 years. Yeah, now you're 47, 50, 52, whatever the year is, 65, whatever it is, and you've paid it off. Woo, you did it, right? Super impressed. But at the same time, all you've grown is that $180,000, $200,000, $220,000 equity that now has appreciated. And I understand that, right? 30 years of appreciation, maybe it's worth $400,000, maybe it's worth $600,000. I have no idea. Plus the payoff. But what if you had used that money to build more opportunity, to create opportunity for your family, to create more functional dining space, to create the opportunity to share with overnight guests and to clutter and to have better home office? By the way, if you want to read this, you can go to our website at frankoliverco.com. Additional resources under blog. You can learn a little bit more about it. But if you were to spend more time creating those things for your family, how much more would you have upsized? How much more would you have paid off? And if you were, let's just say 60 or 65, and you were looking back at your life, would you have that one asset that you've paid off through hard work and 30 years of payments? Or would you have maybe more money with more appreciation, with more growth? And yeah, you might have a liability still in the debt that you carry, but your net profit, your net worth is so much greater because you continue to push forward rather than being afraid of
my favorite statistic that we've been seeing, especially from Ryan, is that since they've been tracking real estate since 1940 to today. Sorry, the phone was buzzing. There's only been, what, 8 years where it was in the red?
Not even.
And some of them were by minus like 0.1%. So it doesn't change you at all. Obviously, the major years were like around 2008. But again, like this investment that you're making, yeah, you want it to be spacious and all this. But like if you look at it from a positive mindset and perspective, like I'm getting this more space, but also like this investment's going to pay off long term. Like it's people look at it as such a big hurdle to get through.
Right.
And in reality, you're bettering your future for you and your family.
But also, like, what if we had little things, right?
What? Go ahead. Sorry. I was going to ask, what do you think is the biggest like thing holding people back and why they don't upsize, or why they think it's too much of a struggle, or why they might not even be considering it?
Because of the reverse complexity of their personality.
That's the okay.
That was real fucking left-winded, right? But what I'm going after is, why do people do it? Why do people chase and chase and chase? And those people, for the most part, have a desire to want it, right? So like rich people, like super uber rich people, like, you know, talk LeBron, talk fucking P. Diddy, talk fucking Drake, you know.
Can you imagine having that much fucking money?
Bro, like any of these very, very successful people, or the people on Shark Tank, or the very successful, you know, business owners, whatever, I don't care. It doesn't matter who it is, right? They all have the same thing in common: the drive to continually do more, the want, the desire, the consistent growth. And so I think that the people that don't have like an irrevocable fear of trying to do something and failing.
Or maybe another way that you're explaining is that they're too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to go out of that little couch with a little blanket and their warm fuzzy socks.
Comfort equals control. Comfort equals control. Comfort equals control for yourself. Comfort equals control for other people's ability to control you.
Was that on one of our Monday morning things? Or I swore I had listened to a podcast. Maybe it was even Rob Dyrdek's, but they said something to the extent of that.
Maybe it was two Baltimorons, you know, the day after Thanksgiving.
Podcast
equals control.
It's live right now. This is where it came from.
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I've actually never heard that before in my life, but like it just seemed to make sense. Comfort equals control. The opportunity that you create for people to control you, whether it's oneself, one's partner, one's family, right? Comfort equals control. So for people that have familial influence, right? They're comfortable with the support, the engagement that they have, and they don't want to change. They don't want to change that dynamic. So they give away control, even if it was like one morsel, right? One tiny itty bitty bit. It's just that little bit. Or some people like to be comfortable. They live off of subsidies or opportunities, and that's comfortable for them. And so thus they're controlled by whoever's paying for it.
I'm just thinking about it, and it's. I'm not reasoning with these people, and I'm not saying one's right or wrong, but it's so fucking easy to be comfortable.
It is so easy to be comfortable.
So fucking easy to be comfortable.
Is the irony, because number one on our list here is why people upsize is the holiday squeeze.
Yeah.
The squeeze is uncomfortable, feeling like we're too tight.
Yeah.
And the example that I was going to make was like, I grew up in a family with, you know, multiple kids in one household, da-da-da-da-da. And so then as we got older and more kids came into our family, my sister got the big bedroom and my brother got the small bedroom, and me and my older brother, granted, we had the biggest space, but we had to share it.
Yeah.
You know, like we had 2 kids to a bedroom. And like, what if you were just the person that says, I want to create an opportunity for my family where my kids don't have to share a bedroom? Like, what if that was just like, I want?
Yeah.
And I think you could make every single one of these signs it's time to upsize into a I want, or I deserve, or I desire. And I think that is what perpetuates people to move forward. If you were a grandma that bought a house for $42,000 that's now selling it for like what? Fucking $700.
Dude, one of my clients bought a condo in DC back in, I forget when she said, but probably pre-2000.
Mm-hmm.
For $50,000. Mm-hmm. Now it's like close to $400,000.
That's insane. But that's also the market, right? Like that's where we are.
Yeah.
So if you were that person, let's just say that you bought the house for 50, you sold it for 400. Everybody looks at that person and like, oh my God. And I look at them and I think, well, what if you had bought that for 50 and sold it for 90 and turned around and invested that 90 into a $200,000 house and then sold that for 470 and then bought that or sold that and you walked away with, I don't know, let's just say, let's just say you walked away with like 290 or 300 and then you bought $1 million house and then you sold that and you only have owned that $1 million house for 6 years. But if you sold that today, it's probably a $3 million house today. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we took the same 50,000 and like, oh my God, they bought it for 50 and they sold it for 400. And that is what everybody focuses on. But what I'm looking at is the fear of taking that next step.
Another thing, like, come on, that kind of goes side by side with, I guess, comfort and control is that there's so many different, maybe distractions out there. And I don't know if distractions is the right word, because think of like for me, right? Like I'm into Grateful Dead, Goose, like music. I do that. I like playing video games. I do my job. I work a lot, hanging out with my girlfriend. I like going out to eat, right? There's so many things that we dabble into, and a lot of people out there probably dabble into things where it's not even necessarily them. Like when you like paint a picture, like this is me, how many things are in there that like, you're like, oh, I could do without that. Or like, it's kind of like condensing down like your budget. Like, oh, if I stop spending that money, like I could be more happy in my life here. It's the same thing. Like we're dabbling to so many things. I think we're easily influenced without actually deciding like, this is like who I am.
Well, and I think that's the means of politics. It's the means of news. It's the means of communication in 2023, right? Like people get adapted to one form of metric and then they follow that metric, whether it's like whatever it might be, but then something else comes along and then they see that and they're like, oh, that could be good. And then they follow that metric, but they also go back to their first one. They're like, oh, this is my same old steady, right? Whether it's, let's just use news as a fun one, right? Fox News or CNN, right? This is my same old steady, but then, oh, there's this one thing that came out of left field and then they led me to another one and then that led me to this one. And I'm following kind of like all three of them, but I also really follow like Fox News or CNN. And then it's like, what if we just committed to understanding that growth in the real estate market is a truism? Growth in the real estate market is not something that's going to go away. Even if you invested in real estate before the market changed, let's just say 2006 or 2004 or 2001 or 99 or 94 or whatever, right? Yeah, those bad years are going to exist, but the good years far outweigh the bad. So like, let's just buy into that. Yeah. And stop trying to believe this stupidity that someone threw onto some news channel and they said, oh, well, by the way, did you know that there's been bad years in real estate? And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, there's been bad years? Because I bet you the person that gave you the good information would say, well, yeah, the good doesn't come with the bad. Yeah. And I always say that they can't have high highs without low lows. So like 2008 was the low low. Let's just keep riding the high. Yeah. So, I mean, this is my personal opinion, you know.
It's interesting. One of the properties that I'm closing on today, to kind of, I guess, touch base on the whole NAR thing that we talked about last week, she like does not believe in realtors. She thinks the whole thing is like a scam, collusion. Everyone's out to like steal from clients and people out there. And I'm like, just trying to get her opinion on. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't really think anything's going to change. Just the way that we present this information, and it might open up the door for some negotiation, but I'm like, ma'am, you didn't have any representation. Your appraisal came in short. No one was there to dispute it for you. And all it took for you to lower the price was me giving you a call. Hey, buyers can't really do it.
Right. So like when the appraisal comes back, the seller and their agent have the opportunity to challenge the appraisal. It's not often a very good end result, but there are other end results that can net the seller more money. Yeah. And what Christian's saying is that without representation, she failed to acknowledge those other options.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm talking to her. I'm like, she's so against paying like any commission. She paid people $300 to put her house on the MLS and sell it. And in reality, she lost $5,000 on the sale.
At least.
And I'm like, what if you pay just a flat $5,000 fee to somebody? Right. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but like you have some support behind you. To get someone to send over comps for the appraisal took 5 days for her. And I'm like, at that point, ma'am, like we are 72 hours past. Right. Yeah. You know?
And like, what does that appraiser think of the professionalism of the person that's providing it? You know, there's a lot of factors here, but also like forget like realtors are a waste of time. Well, what if we turned to client and said, clients are a waste of time? They'd be like, well, I'm not going to give you this listing. Okay, you shouldn't because you're a waste of my time.
Right.
How stupid would that be, right? But then like, let's forward think a little bit and say that there's properties that are on the market in the community that we work in right now that are listed with realtors that have little to no experience, that not only are they little to no experience, but the property's overpriced. And I'm not saying that the agent is poorly knowledgeable about the community. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the seller is poorly knowledgeable about the community, allowing the agent to overprice it.
Yeah.
Right. And so perhaps there's a failure on both parties, and the big bad wolves of National Association of Realtors possibly have some room to improve. But also, we as a community, by believing that people are colluding against us, like, come on, people.
One thing that we talked about before is like, what's going to happen if you don't hire a real estate agent? Like, everybody goes that way, right? Watch what happens to home prices. And people have been talking about, hey, I'm waiting for this home market to crash. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. All right. Well, then, like, this is the crash that you've been wanting. Stop hiring real estate agents. But also think about this. When you go to sell your home, you're not going to get as much money. There's evidence out there supporting it.
There's a challenge to think. Let's forget that, and let's not talk the negative, right? Let's bring some positive to this. If we were to say that real estate commission does not affect home price, let's just say my house is worth $1 million. With a realtor, it's not worth less. Let's just say, okay? How would an appraiser evaluating a property say that it's not worth less? How would they say that the cost that this seller encumbered to sell and list this home, to market it for top dollar, to create the atmosphere where the buyers were culminating at the opportunity to buy this home, would be worth the same as this home that was not ever actively listed, that's not communicated with an agent or represented by someone who's professional in the marketplace. And oh, by the way, the buyer is most likely related to the seller by an arm's length, friend, family member, someone at their church, someone at their work. It's not going to be the same value because ultimately the perception of value is different. And I'm not advocating for National Association of Realtors because I think they're wrong. Yeah. But what I am saying is that the negativity in this industry can be cultivated by something that's just as smart as individuals wanting to improve themselves. Yeah. And so where I come back and I say that this agent has overpriced this particular house, because it's overpriced. It's listed for 1.99995, right?
Is this the one that you guys saw?
No, a different house, right? But the agent has sold literally one property before, and that one property is not within 5 miles of this home, not even within 10. It's 27 miles as the crow flies away from this property. 27 miles, so that's not even close. Yeah. So her agent expertise would have to be researched. And I'm going to assume that she did the research, she learned, she knows what she's doing, she's got the opportunity, and I believe in everyone's opportunity to sell their first home. So the seller has this perception that her agent is so poor that, forget the market research that I could give you as an agent expert, I want to list it for 1.9. Well, Miss Seller, you should be listed for 1.7. But I want to list it for 1.9. And the house is still sitting on the market 60 days later. And it's accruing time and time and time. And sellers are like, well, I'll wait for the spring. What do you think? The spring's going to change fucking 10% of your market value?
Especially at that price point.
What do you think is going to happen in the spring? More buyers are going to come out? Oh, no more properties are going to come to the market. Nothing new, nothing better, nothing non-stigmatized. Like, the opportunity exists when you strike while the iron is hot. And so if it's hot inside of you, you should be thinking about, oh, what do I need in my next home? I'd like to have more space. I'd like to be able to entertain. I'd like to be able to fit a bigger couch. I'd like to have more animals. I'd like to have a fenced-in yard. And those are the things that should cultivate your growth. The desire for growth is gonna push back on that feeling of comfort. And all of a sudden, you're going to push and you're going to stretch and you're going to become a bigger person all while you're at it.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. You took the words right out of my mouth for however long. Preach.
For however long. Preach. Anyway, so I think that as you're having opportunity with family this season, as you're having opportunity with friends, you should be talking about this. How can we grow ourselves together? How can we grow our community? And for a lot of people, it might not be investing into their primary residence. It might be investing into investment properties. Yeah. What if you syndicated, got together 10 or 15 or 20 people, brought together 500 grand, and were able to buy something that was going to grow in equity, going to grow in cash flow, going to grow in development? It sounds like maybe you should hire a professional like a doctor or a lawyer, or, you know, someone with a license called a real estate agent. But
some people don't believe in those. They think they're colluding.
There you go. There you go. All right, people, you know where to reach us. You can hit us up on Instagram at michael.frank___ on our website at frankoliverco.com. You can always read more information about this blog, which actually we didn't spend a lot of time talking about, or more information about the National Association of Realtors lawsuit, as well as what's coming in the appeal process. And we will catch up with you guys real soon.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Christian the Deadhead. And we'll see you next time.
Woo!
Gang.
What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.